Did you know that more than 50% of men over the age of 40 will experience some form of erectile dysfunction in their lifetime? And yet, most will never speak about it. Not to their partner, not to their friends, not even to their doctor. Why? Because somewhere along the way, men were taught that sexual health problems equal weakness. But here's the truth: ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away. It only magnifies it, eroding confidence, straining relationships, and silently damaging physical health in ways most people don't even realize. Let's talk about what's really happening in the body. Erectile dysfunction, for example, is not just a bedroom issue. It is often one of the very first warning signs of cardiovascular disease. Think about that. When blood isn't flowing properly to the penis, chances are it's also not flowing properly to the heart and brain. That's biology, plain and simple. The same arteries that bring life to intimacy also bring life to your heart. So when a man struggles in the bedroom, it's not about his masculinity, it's about his circulation, his hormones, and his vascular health. But here's where psychology enters the picture. When sexual health starts to falter, many men withdraw. They avoid intimacy, they make excuses, they carry silent shame. This creates a cycle. The stress and anxiety worsen performance, which fuels more avoidance. And meanwhile, relationships suffer, not because love is gone, but because silence replaces communication. How many marriages have quietly unraveled, not because of betrayal, but because of unspoken fears about performance? That is the taboo truth no one dares to admit. Now, let's challenge a myth head on. Erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation are not inevitable with age. They are not simply the price you pay for growing older. In fact, science shows us that lifestyle has an enormous influence. Men who maintain a healthy weight, eat foods that protect blood vessels, exercise regularly, and manage stress are dramatically less likely to face these problems. And for women, pelvic floor strength and bladder control are not just lost causes after childbirth or menopause. They can be retrained, strengthened, and restored through consistent exercises and modern therapies. So the question becomes, are we willing to treat our sexual health with the same urgency we treat our blood pressure or cholesterol? Or are we content to quietly suffer, hoping no one notices? Because let's be clear, avoiding the doctor, hiding from your partner, pretending everything is fine, that is not strength. Real strength is facing the truth, making changes, and reclaiming control over your health. Think about the difference between two men at age 60. One believes, this is just how life goes. He ignores his symptoms, avoids conversations, and lets his world shrink. The other man takes action. He sees a urologist, improves his diet, strengthens his body, and opens up to his partner. One fades into frustration and isolation. The other grows into confidence, connection, and vitality. Which life do you want to live? And here's the empowering reality: science is on your side. We now know that foods rich in flavonoids like berries and citrus can improve erectile function by supporting blood vessel health. We know that resistance training boosts testosterone naturally, improving both energy and desire. We know that open communication with your partner reduces anxiety and increases satisfaction for both sides. And we know that modern medicine offers safe and effective treatments that can restore what you thought was lost. You are not powerless. You are not broken. You are not alone. So let me leave you with this. Sexual health is not just about performance. It is about quality of life, emotional connection, and long-term health. Every choice you make, every meal you eat, every step you take, every honest conversation you have, either builds your strength or steals it. Don't wait until silence turns into regret, because the most powerful truth science has revealed is this: your body is designed to heal, to regenerate, and to thrive if you give it the chance. That is not a promise for tomorrow. That is a call to action for today. One of the most overlooked truths in health is this: urinary symptoms are often the first sign of deeper disease. Millions of men and women brush off issues like frequent bathroom trips at night, bladder leaks, or burning urination. They joke about it, hide it, or blame it on just getting older. But here's the fact: these symptoms are not just inconveniences, they are red flags. In men, nighttime urination can signal an enlarging prostate or early prostate cancer. In women, leakage may reflect weakened pelvic floor muscles that affect intimacy, confidence, and long-term health. And urinary tract infections, if ignored, can climb to the kidneys and threaten life itself. The bladder speaks loudly, but only if we're willing to listen. Biologically, it makes sense. The urinary tract is like the plumbing of the body, a complex system that depends on smooth coordination between the brain, the muscles, and the organs. When that system falters, it isn't simply bad luck. It is biology signaling stress, whether from hormones, weakened muscles, chronic inflammation, or even dangerous infections. Men with prostate problems often experience interrupted flow urgency or hesitation. Women with pelvic floor weakness experience leakage when they laugh, cough, or exercise. But here's where the psychology intertwines. These issues chip away at self-esteem. They make men feel older than they are. They make women avoid social settings, intimacy, and sometimes even laughter. What should be a simple bodily function becomes a source of silent shame. Now let's confront a myth head on. Bladder leaks and urinary problems are not something you simply have to live with. They are not a normal, unavoidable part of aging. Yes, they are common, but common does not mean normal. Science proves this. Studies show that pelvic floor training can significantly reduce incontinence in women after childbirth or menopause. Medications and minimally invasive procedures can shrink and enlarge prostate, restoring flow and confidence in men. Even dietary changes, like reducing caffeine, alcohol, and processed foods, can decrease bladder irritation. These are solutions, not band-aids. And yet, so many people suffer in silence. Why? Because we tie our worth to control. When we lose control of something as basic as urination, it feels humiliating. But the greater tragedy is allowing that fear of embarrassment to stop us from seeking help. Neglect leads to worsening symptoms, infections, kidney damage, and a lower quality of life. Self-care, on the other hand, leads to restoration, strength, and dignity. Which path are you choosing, denial or empowerment? Let's get practical. For men, prostate health must become a priority, not an afterthought. Regular screenings, exercise, and diets rich in vegetables and healthy fats reduce the risk of enlargement and cancer. For women, pelvic floor exercises are as essential as brushing your teeth, because they not only protect against leaks, they also enhance sexual health and satisfaction. And for everyone, hydration, safe sexual practices, and prompt treatment of UTIs can save kidneys, save relationships, and save lives. Think of the contrast. Neglect looks like avoiding social gatherings, limiting intimacy, and silently suffering with every bathroom trip. Self-care looks like waking up without fear, laughing without worry, and stepping into relationships with confidence. Neglect robs you of freedom. Self-care restores it. And here's the empowering truth. The urinary system has a remarkable ability to heal when supported. Inflammation can be calmed, muscles can be strengthened, blood flow can be restored, and infections can be cured. This is not just about bladder control. It's about reclaiming the joy of everyday life, about turning shame into strength. So let me leave you with this. Your urinary health is not just a private issue. It is a mirror of your overall well-being. Every signal from your body is a message, not a weakness. And the most powerful science-backed truth is this: when you care for your bladder and prostate, you're not just extending your health span, you're reclaiming your freedom, your confidence, and your relationships. That is a call you cannot afford to ignore. Here's a sobering truth: kidney stones are now striking at younger ages than ever before. And once you get one, there's a 50% chance it will come back within 5 years. Anyone who has passed a stone knows it's not just pain, it's agony. Some describe it as worse than childbirth, others as the most unbearable pain of their lives. But here's the real tragedy: many cases are preventable. And yet, because the conversation around urology is often awkward or dismissed, people suffer in silence until it's too late. Let's break down what's really happening. Kidney stones form when minerals like calcium and oxalate crystallize in the urine, often because the balance of hydration, diet, and metabolism is off. They can block urine flow, damage kidneys, and trigger infections. But here's where it gets interesting. Stones are not just about the kidneys. They are about lifestyle. High salt intake, sugary drinks, processed foods, and even chronic stress all contribute to the perfect storm. And biology is only half the picture. The other half is psychology. When people experience that first stone, fear sets in. They worry it will happen again, they avoid intimacy, they change plans, and they live in quiet dread. Pain in the body quickly transforms into anxiety in the mind. Now let's challenge a dangerous myth. Drinking more milk or calcium alone will fix kidney stones. That's not true. In fact, too much calcium from supplements without balance can make the problem worse. Another myth, that once you've had a stone, you're doomed to keep getting them. Wrong again. Science proves that simple, consistent lifestyle choices dramatically reduce recurrence. Hydration is the most powerful medicine. Drinking enough water dilutes urine and prevents crystals from forming. Cutting back on processed meats, excessive salt, and sugary sodas reduces the chemical triggers for stones. And yes, even small shifts, like adding more citrus fruits, can naturally protect against recurrence by lowering urinary acidity. But here's the deeper question: why do so many people ignore the warnings? Because kidney stones, like many urologic problems, are seen as temporary crises. You suffer, you pass the stone, and you think the problem is over. But what's really happening is the body waving a red flag, warning of deeper imbalances in diet, hormones, and kidney function. Ignoring the signal is like covering the smoke alarm while the fire spreads. Short-term relief comes at the cost of long-term health. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Neglect looks like a man in his 40s dismissing his first stone as bad luck, only to end up in the ER 2 years later with another bigger one. Self-care looks like a man who learns from the experience, changes his diet, hydrates more, and lives stone-free for decades. Neglect looks like a woman who keeps getting urinary tract infections tied to stones, feeling embarrassed and isolated. Self-care looks like a woman who faces the truth, seeks medical guidance, and regains her freedom without fear. Which path do you want to choose? And here's the empowering truth: modern science gives us real tools. Imaging technology can detect stones early before they cause unbearable pain. Nutrition science shows that plant-based diets rich in magnesium and potassium can reduce stone risk. Urology has advanced procedures that safely remove stones without the trauma of old-fashioned surgery. And research even shows that stress management, through exercise, meditation, or therapy, lowers recurrence risk, because cortisol and dehydration go hand in hand. This isn't just about avoiding pain. It's about building a body and a mindset that work together to protect your future. So here's the mic drop reality. Kidney stones are not just random accidents of biology. They are reflections of your daily choices. And those choices, hydration, diet, stress, self-care, are entirely within your control. You don't have to live in fear of another stone, another ER visit, or another night doubled over in agony. Because the science is clear: your kidneys are designed to filter, heal, and thrive if you give them the chance. Here's a staggering reality: testosterone levels in men have been steadily declining over the past 3 decades, with today's average 40-year-old carrying the hormone profile of a much older man from the past. And yet, very few talk about it openly. Why? Because testosterone isn't just a hormone, it's tied to identity, confidence, energy, and intimacy. When levels dip, it doesn't just affect the body, it reshapes how a man feels about himself, how he connects to his partner, and how he shows up in life. But here's the truth: low testosterone is not a sentence of decline. It's a signal, a call for change, not surrender. Let's explore the biology first. Testosterone fuels muscle mass, bone density, libido, red blood cell production, and even mood stability. When levels fall, the consequences are wide-reaching: fatigue, erectile dysfunction, decreased desire, loss of strength, weight gain, and irritability. And yet, what many miss is the psychological fallout. Men begin doubting themselves, withdrawing from intimacy, and second-guessing their worth. They stop chasing goals with energy, stop initiating romance, and too often, stop believing they can change. That's not just biology at work, that's identity under siege. But here's where we challenge the myths. Myth number 1: low testosterone is an inevitable part of aging. Not true. While levels naturally dip with age, lifestyle factors like obesity, chronic stress, poor sleep, and alcohol use accelerate the decline dramatically. Myth number 2: the only solution is hormone replacement therapy. Again, not true. Science shows that nutrition, resistance training, stress management, and even healthy intimacy can naturally boost testosterone. Myth number 3: testosterone is just about sex drive. In reality, it is about vitality, resilience, and how a man experiences life itself. So let's ask the tough question. Are you willing to let habits rob you of your strength? Or are you ready to reclaim the biology that was designed to keep you thriving? Because the contrast is clear. Neglect looks like late nights, processed foods, endless stress, and quiet resentment as energy fades. Self-care looks like strength training that reignites hormone production, whole foods that protect circulation, deep sleep that recharges the endocrine system, and intentional intimacy that fuels emotional and physical connection. One path leads to decline, the other to renewal. Which will you choose? Here's the empowering truth: your testosterone levels are not fixed. They are dynamic. Research shows that men who lose even 10% of their body weight through healthy diet and exercise can see significant increases in testosterone. Studies reveal that strength training and high-intensity interval workouts stimulate the body's natural production. Even sunlight exposure, by raising vitamin D, has been linked to improved hormone balance. And yes, reducing stress through mindfulness or prayer lowers cortisol, the hormone that directly suppresses testosterone. This isn't about magic pills. It's about science-backed choices you can make every single day. And what about relationships? When testosterone is low, intimacy often suffers, not because love is gone, but because energy and desire fade. Partners may misinterpret this as rejection, creating distance and hurt. But when men take action, the shift is profound. Energy returns, desire returns, confidence returns. And relationships don't just survive, they deepen. Sexual health is not separate from emotional health, they rise together. So let me leave you with this powerful truth: low testosterone is not a life sentence, it is a wake-up call. Every workout, every healthy meal, every hour of quality sleep, every open conversation with your partner is an act of reclaiming your biology and your identity. You do not have to fade quietly into decline. Because the science is undeniable, your body was built to adapt, to regenerate, and to thrive. And when you give it the right signals, it will. That is not just medicine. That is empowerment. Here's a fact that may shock you. Sexually transmitted infections are at their highest rates in decades, not just among the young, but among adults over 40, 50, and even 60. That's right. Many believe STIs are a teen problem. But data shows rising cases in older adults who think they're safe simply because pregnancy isn't a concern anymore. The truth is, unprotected sex carries risks at any age. And while the topic may feel taboo, silence is costing people their health, their confidence, and sometimes their lives. Let's look at the biology first. Infections like chlamydia, gonorrhea, HPV, and syphilis can damage fertility, inflame the urinary tract, and increase cancer risk. For women, chronic infections can cause pelvic pain, infertility, and cervical disease. For men, they can impair sperm quality, cause urethral damage, and trigger erectile problems. And here's the hidden danger. Many STIs are silent, showing no symptoms until damage is already underway. That's not just biology, it's betrayal by invisibility. But the psychology is just as important. Too many men and women avoid conversations about sexual health with their partners because of shame or fear of judgment. They pretend everything is fine, even when something feels off. That silence builds distance in relationships. It erodes trust, fuels anxiety, and replaces confidence with doubt. Intimacy becomes clouded by fear instead of fueled by connection. What could have been solved with early testing and treatment spirals into bigger problems, physically, emotionally, relationally. Now, let's confront the myths. Myth number 1, if I feel healthy, I don't need to be tested. Wrong. Many STIs hide without symptoms. Myth number 2, I'm in a long-term relationship, so I'm safe. Reality: unless both partners are tested and transparent, assumptions can be dangerous. Myth number 3, condoms are just for young people. No, they're for anyone who values protection. Safe practices are not about age. They're about respect for yourself and your partner. So let's ask the hard question. Are we more afraid of a 5-minute conversation than a lifelong complication? Are we more concerned with embarrassment than with protecting our health? Because the contrast is crystal clear. Neglect looks like avoiding tests, staying silent, and hoping for the best, only to discover cancer risk, infertility, or irreversible damage later. Self-care looks like courage, regular testing, open communication, and safe practices that protect not just health, but dignity. Which version of yourself will you be? The one who hides or the one who leads with truth? Here's the empowering reality. Science gives us powerful tools. Simple urine tests and swabs can detect infections early. Vaccines like HPV can prevent cancers before they start. Antiviral therapies can suppress and control infections like herpes and HIV, allowing people to live long, healthy, connected lives. And condoms, though old-fashioned in perception, remain one of the most effective barriers against infection, protecting both body and relationship. Knowledge isn't just power, it's prevention. And what about relationships? Safe sexual health practices aren't barriers to intimacy. They're bridges. They say to your partner, I respect you. I care enough about us to protect us. That honesty builds trust, which deepens desire. When both partners feel safe, intimacy flourishes. When fear is removed, connection strengthens. This isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. So let me leave you with this: sexual health is not separate from overall health. It is the heartbeat of vitality, confidence, and connection. Every test you take, every conversation you have, every safe choice you make is an investment in your future. Don't let stigma or silence steal what science has made possible. Because here is the mic drop truth. Your sexual health is not just about avoiding disease. It is about building a life of trust, strength, and joy. And that begins with the courage to care today.